You're missing shots in Warzone and you don't know why. You're also wondering how every COD streamer shoots so straight, but your gun doesn't shoot the same way. You have the same build, but your gun does not shoot the same way. Well, today I'm going to show you how to shoot straighter in COD, like the streamers, like the pros, and I promise you after today, you're never going to overlook this aiming tip again. All right, let's get into it. I'm super excited to share this with you guys today because this isn't something that I've seen talked across YouTube before. At least I haven't seen it. I know I'm not the first one to discover this, but this was my big like aha moment with aiming. I really just discovered this messing around with my aim in the firing range, wondering like, how are these streamers shooting so dang straight? I dove in and this is basically what I found. As you guys seen from the thumbnail, you saw the left side, me doing it wrong. I'm pressing the trigger, not doing anything with my right stick. The right side was me pressing the trigger and pulling down with my right stick. Yes, today's video is about recoil control, but it's actually more specifically about something that I like to call trigger timings or recoil timings. Whatever cue you want to say that makes best sense for you to understand this tip, go for it. I literally just made up the term on the spot, but let's get into it and explain why exactly this is so important. All right, this is something that is very simple, but most of us have never considered before. I know I hadn't before messing around with it in the firing range. When we're talking about trigger timings or recoil timings, we are talking about pressing your right trigger, right, your fire button, and the simultaneous movement of your right thumbstick going down to control recoil. So simultaneously, the goal here is to get the timing, well, perfect, right? Let's talk a little bit more about this. All right, so before we get into the nitty gritty, we have to talk about this. We've all been in a COD streamer's stream before and watched them shoot and been like, man, my gun's not doing that. Matter of fact, I had somebody come into my chat the other day, I think yesterday actually, you know who you are if you're watching this video, came into my chat, asked for my loadout class. I gave them my class and they're like, oh, that's what I had on already. It's like, but my gun doesn't do that. And I was just like, oh man, if I could just explain to them this, and I couldn't break it down in the fullness of what I'm gonna do in this video today, but hopefully they're watching this video right now. We're gonna explain to you why maybe the COD streamer or the COD pro that you're watching on stream is not cheating. I would invite you to think maybe their recoil timings or their trigger timings are just perfect. No, they're not cheating. No, they're not hacking. How are they shooting so straight though? Let's get into it. All right, so now what most of you guys are doing, and I'm going to exaggerate this to obviously prove a point, is you are firing and then you are pulling down after, right? It's like almost like a reaction to your recoil going crazy, right? Obviously not as exaggerated. It's not like you're waiting 10 bullets and then you're pulling down. Maybe it's 2 bullets, maybe it's even 1, okay? And a lot of this comes down to your muscle memory. We're going to talk about this later when I'm going to give you some drills to work on. But why this is so critical is because your trigger timings or your recoil timings, however you want to say it, if those are off even by the slightest amount, it's going to affect the first few bullets that come out of your gun. And let me make this clear, the first few bullets that come out of your gun are the most important, right? Let's say you're tracking an enemy down, you snuck up on them from behind, you see them at a distance, you're putting shots down. If your timings are perfect and you're able to knock them out, you're able to control your recoil, that's a knock and a kill, right? That's the difference between getting a knock and a kill or getting a few shots on target, but not hitting enough to where they're able to escape, run away, hide behind cover, and regain, right? Let me kind of explain this here. I have 60 rounds in the mag. I'm just going to shoot bullets at like 10 to 20 at a time. I'm going to shoot like 3 sets here on the wall. Okay. So here's the first one. All right. Another one. Another one. Obviously, this is me not controlling recoil. What you're going to notice is you got about what, 2-3 bullets here, 2-3 bullets here, 2-3 bullets here, a big spread between your first few bullets. This is why this initial recoil pattern is so important to understand, because realistically, how many times are you actually sitting back here shooting at your enemy, unless it's from like a really far distance, but like, let's say medium to long range. Okay. You're not going to be sitting here shooting this whole entire clip. Okay. It's great to understand your recoil pattern, but the most important part and what we're most likely going to be shooting at, by the time you're halfway through, if they're not behind cover already, like, I don't know what they're doing. You're just a bot lobby. I don't know what to tell you, right? But the real point is you want to understand these first few bullets. And if your trigger timings are perfect, you're able to control this. So watch and keep that very steady. Okay. Now, if my timing's a little bit early, I pulled down before I actually press the trigger. It'll look like this, right? I might go a little bit too far. This is obviously exaggerated. If it's right on time, it'll be a little bit like that. If I'm late and I push the trigger before I pull down, it's going to look like this, right? As you can see, it's like a little bit of jump up first, and then I pulled back down. This is just what I want you guys to understand here is get your timings perfectly in sync. If you're able to do that, you are going to be such a better player, especially tracking players from longer range. You're going to be able to beam bots right here or people running across the open, just like you would see your pro streamer. You have to get your timings down perfect. Let's give you guys some drills to actually practice this and actually improve at this skill. All right, first drill right here, and to clear any bullet impacts on the wall, all you have to do is press down on the D-pad to move this thing around. If you click it enough, it'll eventually disappear all the bullet impacts. So clear all the bullet impacts, come up to this little wall right here where it says number 2, stand side by side, doesn't matter where. You're going to aim at the wall and you're going to simply try to control your recoil as best as possible, working on that simultaneous click of the right trigger and down on your right stick. Okay. And the first thing you could do if you're not at your setup right now and you just have a controller laying around by chance, like just practice that. Like, what does that feel like to you? Practice those exact timings. Okay. We're going to work on that here. Once again, stand on this first wall here. All you're going to do, try to keep your recoil as tight as possible. Okay. Scoot over, do it again. You're shooting about 10 to 20 bullets at a time. Try to keep your recoil as tight as possible, okay? You want this to look like one little center dot, okay? This was probably one of my best ones right here. All right, then once you feel like you're doing good there, and your guys might not look like this when you first try, but go into the firing range. They might. You might be really good at controlling your recoil already. Go into the firing range, compare them to mine right here, and see how good you are at it, okay? Maybe you need to improve. Maybe yours look like this. Okay, maybe they look like that. That's totally fine too. That's really not bad at all. But your point is you're working on those timings and getting them synced up perfectly. Easy enough. We back up to this number 1, same exact thing. Again, if I wanted to clear these things, I'm just clicking down on the D-pad, clearing them from the wall. Again, boom, shoot over. 10 to 20 bullets, scoot over. 10 to 20 bullets, scoot over. This is more like 10 bullets, okay? But you guys get the point. All right, this one was a little bit too vertical. This one was not bad, and this one was probably my best one. I'm just working on this, doing this anywhere from literally as long as you want. If you wanted to warm up like this to start your day out, you can see how quickly this can move. It can take you literally 2 minutes to practice these timings, and that's what I really want you guys to get to at a certain point where it just becomes second nature. That's what I love about this drill, or this actual tip itself, is that once you work on it, you don't have to like think about this all the time. It's going to become second nature. Your timings are going to become better over time, especially the more you work on them. Okay, so last part of this drill, step up to the back wall. Okay, do the same exact thing. You're going to see this one's a lot more difficult. Okay, even for me, you're going to see this one was a little bit too vertical, also a little horizontal. This one was my best one by far. This one is a little bit too vertical and a little bit too horizontal. You're going to keep working on these, moving at each distance. Obviously, like the further back, the harder it's going to be to control. You're going to move at each distance, do at least like what, 5 to 10 of these reps at each of those ranges. And if yours actually looks like more like this, all right, you need to spend a lot more time than somebody's that looks a little bit tighter, okay? And that's perfectly fine. I think my aim when I first started out in Warzone probably looked something more, I always had like decent aim, but it probably looked more something similar to like that, okay? It wasn't perfect, okay? So work on it, rep it out at each of these ranges. That is drill number 1. All right, drill number 2 and final part to this video. We talked about this in our 5 aiming tips video. I'll go ahead and link that up here, but this drill is one of my favorites, okay? You guys are basically doing that same drill you guys learned from that video, but you're doing it with your newfound knowledge or your newfound focus about your trigger timings, okay? So all this is gonna look like, for those of you guys that are new with us, we are taking out each one of these targets with 1 mag. That's our only goal, okay? With 1 mag, we're taking out all these targets. We're not trying to rush through the targets. We're not trying to be super fast with it. No, we're trying to take out each of the targets and take all them out with 1 mag. So we have 60 rounds here in this Cypher mag, and all we're gonna do is shoot the first target, kill him. Shoot the second target, kill him. If your timings are good, you're gonna land a lot of these first bullets. Last target. Okay, boom. I have 16 rounds left in the mag. Your new goal is to beat 16. Okay, 16 is actually tough. That was actually a good rep for me. Sometimes I do this, and if my timings are off, I am running out of my whole mag and not killing that last target. You guys are gonna find, if you go in with an 8 attachment Cypher, whatever you guys are using right now, you guys might not be able to kill all these targets. That's perfectly fine. I do it all the time. I mess it up all the time. That's just how I know my timing, my recoil control needs some work. And that's a perfect metric. That's why I love this drill so much, is like, if I make it through this drill, like watch me rush through this really quick. I'm not warmed up for the day, so my aim might be a little bit crazy. Oops. Okay, 10. I made it to 10. If I'm not hitting 16, that's how I know I'm not really locked in, or I'm not working on my timings well enough, or my aim isn't as good as it could be, okay? 16 is my new metric. I have to beat 16. I got 10 right there. I knew that was worse. let's go and let's do another rep, right? So that's what you guys are gonna do. Work on your timings, work on this drill. It is literally my favorite thing to work on, and it's direct confirmation. Are your timings good? Is your recoil good? And is it on point? All right, last quick thing I want to mention, because this last target right here is going to give you guys some fits, especially you beginners out there. You're going to have a really hard time killing this last target with all the ammo in the mag. Even for me at the beginning, when I started out this, I was struggling to get, you know, the 16 or the 20 bullets left in my mag, which I can now do, right? What I noticed from this, it's really important to get game reps, but for demonstrational purposes and to work on your aim, it's okay to be in the range a lot. And that's what I was. I was in the range a lot, working on my aim. And what I noticed is for this last target, because of this first bullet, let me clear all these pings right here, okay? For this first bullet, look what happens when I'm close range, okay? I'm not controlling recoil. I'm just pressing the trigger down. It's almost like it recoil controls for me because I'm so close to the target. When I back up and I don't control recoil, look at the difference in the spread. Okay, we're talking about, what is that, like 100 meters back there, 75 meters, whatever it is for that last target. What happens is this distance right here at range, imagine the target being back there. You're shooting way over its head, right? So the further back you get, you actually need to aim lower. And that's what I want you guys to do and focus on for this. It translates directly into actual Warzone. You're tracking an enemy from further back. Yes, you have to counter for a little bit of bullet drop, but realistically, you're aiming lower than you would think because your natural recoil pattern and your timings can't actually be pinpoint perfect. Your recoil is going to kick up a little bit. So aim low because that recoil at distance is going to be affected much more. And that's what you're going to notice. If I aim at the knees or at the ankles or even at the feet of this back target, even if my timings are good, what you'll notice is that'll kick up perfectly, and my timings are pretty dang good to where it's going to hit you in the chest or in the head. What happens is if you take your first shot and your shot or your aim is at the chest, your timings cannot beat that. You're going to throw shots right over their head. It's not going to work out. Aim lower for these back targets or further targets in Warzone. You're going to see that it's going to be a much more effective way of aiming at distance. And there you guys have it. I know that was an absolute ramble session. I was just yapping a bunch, but I really hope you guys understand the importance of your trigger timings or your recoil timings. And I hope it translates for you guys in games. I know it did for me. Work on it. It's definitely something that you need to rep. Your muscle memory might not be there yet, but I promise you it can get there with more reps and practicing these drills. Lastly, I just want to say how appreciative I am of you guys. You guys have been insane in the comments section, showing love. I swear it's like fuel for making these tip videos. So thank you so much. I'll never stop saying thank you for supporting my content. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed and you guys want to, we're almost to 100K subscribers. So make sure to do so if you guys are enjoying the videos. Also, we're streaming on kick.com/MarkClarkk. Live there pretty much every night but Sundays. Would love to have you guys over there, hang out with our awesome community, or ask us questions about these videos or any others. Love to have you guys over there. Also, Verdansk coming in 1 week. I'm so excited. More videos to come. We'll see you guys next time.